We're back with another episode of Healthy Dose. I'm Dr. Joe Gambardella of Advanced Physical Medicine and Rehab. You can also check out our website, miamidisccenter.com and apmrmiami.com. Our phone number is 305-598-8788. Really happy today to have with us Jennifer Pena. She is an attorney for Steiner Green and Finer. How you doing, Jen? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you.
And I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're following up with a podcast we did a couple of weeks ago. It got such a great response. I wanted to have you back to talk a little bit more about car accidents. For all of our listeners out there, we live in Miami-Dade. Everyone's going to be in a car accident. We either know someone who's been in a car accident or we ourselves have been in one. Have you been in?
Absolutely, I have, unfortunately. I've been a passenger and a driver in a car accident.
Yeah. So. A couple of things that are so important about car accidents is, number one, being prepared. It's going to happen. So what's the best thing to do? I think the first place we should start is talking about insurance, right? There's a lot of different coverages out there. There's a lot of different companies out there. You have State Farm, you have Geico, all the ones that you see on TV, and they offer so many different things. They kind of unbundle these packages. You have things like uninsured motorist, bodily injury, you have collision. Do you get all these things? Why don't we kind of unbundle that and start with uninsured motorists? What is that? Is that some coverage that we should have? Because I know it's an optional type of coverage. Some people have it, some people don't.
Absolutely. So uninsured motorists should be on your top priority. It's essentially the only way that you can make sure that you and your family are covered in case of an accident. So we can kind of peel this back a little bit because there's a lot going on with insurance. And a lot of people, and a lot of the people that I meet, a lot of my clients will tell me, oh, I'm fine, I have full coverage. Well, full coverage isn't really a thing anymore, right? That doesn't really exist. So if you really want to break it all down, there's different types of coverage. There's coverage for your vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. Where this is how we get our car fixed after an accident. This is what will basically determine whether you have a deductible or not, or a high deductible or a low deductible, whether you have rental. So these are all things that have to do with your vehicle. Then there's PIP insurance, which is what will cover the first layer of medical treatment after an accident. And then we get into the bodily injury and the uninsured motorist. So uninsured motorist, or UM, is essentially an insurance that you pay for. So in case you're in an accident and the other driver either has no coverage or very little coverage, it basically jumps on as additional insurance. The state of Florida is one of the few states in the country that does not require bodily injury coverage. And what that means is if someone rams into the back of your car at 50 miles an hour, or if someone takes a red light, or if someone loses control on I-95 and you are suffering from catastrophic injuries and they don't have BI, you basically have no recourse other than your PIP benefits, which you're not going to see a dime of. So you will not see any sort of pain and suffering, no future lost wages. You're not going to get any coverage for future medical care. So uninsured motorist is a way where you can basically ensure that you and your family are covered. So a lot of people don't really know what it is. They've really never heard of it. My goal with my clients is for everyone to walk out a little bit more educated than when they walked in, right? Insurance companies don't like to sell this. They are not your good neighbor. They are not going to be there for you after an accident. Their goal is to pay as least as possible for your car, for your medical treatment, and ultimately for your policy, because they want to keep that money in the bank, right? So when it comes to uninsured motorists, it's definitely something that you should consider as opposed to some other coverage that you may see on your policy.
Right before the show, we were talking about something called Medpay. It's kind of a term out there. People say it's important to get because it's going to cover 20% that my major PIP doesn't cover. So that's cheaper. Let me just pay for that.
So Medpay, first and foremost, if you don't have a case and you're not going to go after anyone, then sure, it's a great option. If you have to choose between Medpay and UM, I will always tell you to go after UM. Because Medpay is a limited resource, right? So PIP actually offers a lot more benefit than Medpay. You can get lost wages with PIP. You can get, loss of use with PIP. There's a lot of different benefits to your PIP policy that you don't have with Medpay. And, one of the things that a lot of people worry about after they've gone through the process and their case is over and I'm about to give them that check is the reimbursement that I have to pay their insurance company. So your insurance company will pay those $5, $10, $15, $20,000 on your behalf, but they want every dime back. So it comes out of your money. So let's say that I was going to write you a $50,000 check and you had $20,000 in MedPay. Now out of that $50,000, $20 is going back to your insurance company right off the top. So it's not necessarily a benefit that I believe in what I do on a daily basis. I don't think it's a benefit that's necessary because we are a state that has PIP, right? So if you had to choose between or uninsured or underinsured motorists and Medpay, I think it's better to get Medpay.
So that's
I think it's better, to get UM.
So that's the first takeaway in preparing yourself, because we have the Palmetto Expressway, we have I-95, so many cars, so many people, all in a rush to get somewhere. Like we said earlier, you're either going to know someone who's been in an accident or it's going to unfortunately happen to you. You have to be prepared.
Definitely. And it really is the only way, like I said in the very beginning, that you will make sure that you're covered. Because if you or your family goes to buy insurance and you walk into an insurance agent's office and you say, look, I want the minimum that Florida requires, they'll say, oh, that's fine. We'll get you full coverage and PIP. And people walk out thinking that they are okay if something happens. And 9 times out of 10, they aren't. Yeah. So that's the only way that you can make sure that you and your family are covered. Perfect.
So the layout of the show today is that's what you do before. Now let's talk about during. So unfortunately, we know someone, it happens to us, the accident happens. A couple of key things that we should let the listeners know is, number one, you got to make sure you're okay. Take some inventory, take a breath. You've been hit, you hit somebody. Oftentimes, these rear end collisions, these side collisions, your head could hit the side wall of the car. You may be dazed, even lose some consciousness.
Definitely.
But the most important thing is make sure you're okay. Don't get out of the car in traffic. We see all the time.
Please don't.
Yeah.
That's where an accident that could have otherwise been, minor to mild will turn into something catastrophic, right? So take a moment, gather yourself. If you have passengers in the car, just kind of check on them. I have a lot of clients with kids in the car, so that's their first priority, and they forget about themselves. Yeah. They don't take a minute to gather themselves and say, okay, I'm okay to get out of the car. Obviously, check your surroundings, make sure you're not at a busy intersection. If you can avoid moving the car, don't move it. In some situations, it's pretty simple. You're on US 1 and in bumper-to-bumper traffic and somewhere rear ends you. Take a picture before you move the car of the area. Take a picture of your vehicle, the other driver's vehicle. Then you can move it and show the police. That's okay.
I like what you said also. We were talking before. A lot of this turns into a he said, she said.
Absolutely.
So you've been hit, and then all of a sudden the other driver says, they cut in front of me, they hit me.
Exactly.
You said, look for witnesses. Really
Definitely.
Important.
So one of the very common conversations I have with my client, I have with all my clients, I meet with people within 24 to 48 hours from them being signed. So you're getting a call from my office to have an in-person meeting. I don't like to postpone that. I don't like to push that back. And one of the main things that I hear from my clients is, oh, don't worry. The other driver said that they were sorry, that it was their fault, and that, not to worry, that they have good insurance. And that's fine until they talk to someone else or they talk to their own insurance company, and suddenly the story changes. It happens all the time. So if you're able to talk to someone, if there's anyone around, a lot of people rubberneck, they kind of slow down, they look around, or if you see anybody on the corner or anybody in a shopping center, just as long as you're safe and you can safely do this, walk up and say, did you see what happened? Did you see that guy run the red light? Or did you see that person take the stop sign? Can I have your phone number and your name, please? I promise I won't bother you unless I absolutely have to. But then you provide that information to the officer. Hey, listen, this person saw it. I got their phone number. Because you'd be surprised, that other driver gets back in their vehicle, gets on the phone with their mom or their sister or someone, and they tell them, oh, don't admit to anything. Don't talk to anyone. Just don't say anything at all. And suddenly the apology and the, are you okay? It's my fault turns into, I did nothing wrong here. And what happens in those situations is that driver's insurance company has to take their word for it, right? So I've had cases where it's clear liability and it's obvious that the other person is not being very truthful, and it requires additional work from us. Either we have to find surveillance video in the area. That's another thing. If you're in a busy intersection and there's a bank, a school, or something, and there's a camera, take a picture of it. Take a picture of it, because the moment you hire a lawyer, we can send a letter to preserve that video so that it's not destroyed. And it basically takes the guessing out of the game in this particular case. So, it's you have to try to have your bases covered. Right? I think we do this in pretty much every realm of our lives as people and as human beings. And when an accident happens, something happens to us that we just kind of we don't know what to do. And we assume that everyone is going to do the right thing. And unfortunately, I see it every day. Doesn't always happen. So you just have to make sure it's your own insurance, basically.
So that's the second key takeaway, is that very, very important when you're involved in these accidents. Always look for somebody.
Yes.
The other thing too is wait for fire rescue, wait for EMS, wait for the police to get there. Make sure you get the report and make sure you get yourself checked.
Absolutely.
We're going to touch on shortly some of the most common injuries that occur when you're involved in these accidents, but some of the less common ones that people perceive as being anything other than related to the car accident.
Sure.
So let's talk about real briefly too, when do you call your insurance company?
So, this is always a common misconception. People feel like, and I felt this way too before I did personal injury and before I did this for a living, you automatically call your insurance company. They're going to go up to bat for you. They're going to do everything they can to get you situated and to get you back to where you were before this accident. And in some cases that is true, but not always. So my recommendation to anyone who's been in an accident, my friends and family, is avoid talking to any insurance company before you talk to an attorney. So if one of my clients gave a statement to the insurance company, I will request it. And you don't realize the subtleties on how they get you to admit to things, or how they get you to minimize your injuries, or how they get you to basically devalue your claim. Because if they can do that and you have something like uninsured motorist, they can use it against you later on. That's one of the most common things I hear. Well, I talked to your client 24 hours after the accident and they said that they were feeling okay, just a little bit of soreness here and there, and now suddenly they have all these big injuries, and the insurance company is not going to tell you, wow, that's probably going to progress into something more serious. So again, they're not always your good neighbor. They're not always going to be there for you. So my advice to all my friends and family, and they know this, is if you get involved in an accident and you are injured in any way, whether you think it's a small injury or whether you think it's just muscular, get a lawyer, because you don't know where that's going to end up. Right?
So the most appropriate time to contact a lawyer is immediately. Even before you speak to the insurance company.
As soon as you can. Yes, as soon as you can, because the insurance company is going to do everything that they can to get a statement from you. Right? So they're going to tell you, the sign is being recorded. Do you mind, if I record this? What are you going to say? You're not going to say no. You say, sure. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. I was in an accident. It wasn't my fault. So you very innocently, most people very innocently talk to their insurance company. And then when it starts to backfire is usually when we get hired, right? Which,
yes,
I say it all the time. If insurance companies did what they were supposed to do, our business would be half of what it is probably, but they don't.
I want to say this. As we said in the beginning, it's really critical to get the right insurance, but it's critical to get the right attorneys. So we work almost exclusively with Steiner Green and Feiner. That's the company that you're part of.
Yes.
You've been with them for a while.
Yes.
And you're also an attorney with the group that litigates. You actually see the inside of a courtroom.
Yes.
It's really important to make sure that you get the best attorneys working for you. That's make or break in a case, especially, as you mentioned earlier, if the injuries, God forbid, are catastrophic. A lot of times people will say, well, I have a friend of mine, they practice real estate law, but they might be able to help me because an attorney is going to cost me a little bit too much. Can you explain to the listeners out there how it works when you retain an attorney, a little bit about your firm as well, and how long they've been practicing personal injury?
Sure. So our firm has been around for over 20 years. We've recovered billions of dollars for our clients. We've had thousands and thousands of cases. We have thousands of cases a year. I get this question all the time. People call me and they say, hey, I have a tax question, or I have a question about probate or an estate. And I say, let me refer you to so-and-so, and let me refer you to so-and-so, because every realm of the law is different. And you want to talk to someone, and you want someone to represent you who is comfortable in what they're doing, who does it day in and day out. If you have a cardiac issue, you're not going to go see a podiatrist. You aren't going to ask your roofer to fix your leaky pipes. That just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And when it comes to our realm of the law, it's basically the same thing. You go to someone who knows what they're doing, someone who's willing to file a lawsuit on your behalf. The reality is that only 2% of cases actually make it all the way to trial. But some of them do have to be litigated. Sometimes we actually have to go to court and fight this battle in court. Usually they settle before, so it's a very small percentage that actually make it all the way up to a jury trial. But you want someone, or you should want someone, who's comfortable with that. Someone who isn't going to undersettle your case because they don't want to file a lawsuit. Right. The reality is litigating these cases costs money, right? So you need a firm, or you need an attorney who is comfortable with that.
And that has the resources
exactly
to go that extra mile. So
Absolutely.
You're really the elite law firm down here in South Florida, from all the way down from Fort Lauderdale into Miami, and I think maybe even a little bit further north.
Yeah, so we have offices in Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Port St. Lucie, Tampa, Orlando. So we're basically almost in the entire state of Florida. And, you know, we have combined, you know, I won't even age all of us and say how many years combined we have in practice experience. But yeah, we're willing to take any case all the way up to
That was
trial.
my next. So now they hear you're the best of the best, and they think, well, my case won't qualify. I better not call them. How do people, you know, make the determination about their case? Is that something for them to decide, or is it better to call the attorney, call you, call your law firm? By the way, how do people get in touch with you, Jennifer?
So they can call our main office, and the number is 954-491-7701. Or they can look on our website. It's injurylawyers.com, so it's very simple. They can email me. It's jpena@injurylawyers.com. So it's basically my first initial and last name.
Okay.
Or you can just call and ask for me. You know, I'd love to, at the end, I can definitely give everyone my direct contact information. That is certainly not an issue. I take calls all the time.
And you'll talk to anyone?
Anyone. It doesn't matter. I give every single one of my clients my cell phone, so they have access to me 24 hours a day. I get called all the time. You know, unfortunately, people get into more accidents, or their family member, their sister, or their brother. They want to talk to someone. They have questions. They're confused. And we just have to be accessible at all hours. It's a reality. There's no 9 to 5 for car accidents. People don't just get in car accidents from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
So when people hire you and take you on, you're with them 24/7,
Every step of the way.
365 from the beginning to the end.
Every step of the way, yes.
Right after the break, we're going to talk about some of the most common injuries that happen when you're involved in a car accident, and we're going to figure out where to go, how to treat, and we'll do that right after this.
Repair your body, replace your key hormone levels, allow your body to regenerate itself without surgery or meds. When it comes to your health, the best plan is preventative. If you wait for symptoms to show, you could be too late. With over 40 years of combined clinical experience, all under one conveniently located state-of-the-art facility, Dr. Joe is on the leading edge of regenerative and physical medicine. Take control of your health and get a free consultation and evaluation. Visit us at apmrmiami.com or call 305-598-8788. 305-598-8788. 305-598-8788.
And we're back with Jennifer Pena from Steiner Green and Finer. Jennifer, we're talking about how to prepare yourself for, unfortunately, these accidents that happen all the time, what to do at the scene, and now we got to figure out how to fix some of these things that have occurred during the accident. First, we got to let everyone know out there that in Florida, you have 14 days and 14 days only to seek treatment for these injuries after the date of the accident, weekends included. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you know, every time someone says this or someone asks me about this, I always caution them with the same thing. The longer you wait to seek treatment, the more difficult it is for you to feel better, right? Because ultimately you want to feel better. And also, it can hurt your case. That's one of the main arguments I hear from insurance companies. Oh, your client didn't treat for 10 days or 12 days. And it's very powerful for a defense attorney or for an insurance company to say that to a jury. Well, you were so hurt, and you look at all this treatment that you had to have and all these things, but you went, you know, and they'll do the classic on the calendar, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and just kind of, that's very powerful because you think if you're in that much pain, you're going to seek treatment. Right? And I think people just sometimes don't realize that they are hurt. It takes them a minute.
Yes.
They think that muscle soreness is just going to go away. And sure, it may. If you're lucky, it may just go away. You may not have a permanent injury. But if not, you're basically hurting yourself physically and your potential case.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
and there's only specific places that you can go that qualify for entry into this type of treatment. So number one, hospitals. Number two, physical medicine offices, chiropractors. We here at Advanced Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, we've dedicated our practice to helping these people. So there's in our office medical doctors, physician assistants, physical therapists. We do therapies from laser therapy and non-surgical spinal decompression, because the most common injuries that we see do involve the spine. You have the whiplash injuries, you have the spinal injuries, the neck, the middle back, lower back. We talked about also common things that people may not even relate: the trouble sleeping, the inability to focus, which are all symptoms of a concussion or post-concussion syndrome. These closed head injuries are very common, especially if it's a side impact and there's contact with the head and the side of the car. You have burns from airbags. You have injuries to the knees when they hit the dashboard.
Definitely.
And a lot of times they just ignore them.
They ignore it. They think that it is just a little bruise, a bump and bruise, and that it will go away. And, again, you may be in that very small, fortunate percentage that they do. Headaches are another big thing that people don't realize.
Headaches, jaw injuries,
Yeah.
TMJ injuries, grinding of the teeth. And we were talking about just how the body heals in general, that muscles are the area of the body that are least injured. Why? Because they have the greatest blood supply.
Yes.
So in orthopedics, it's very simple. When you tear tissue and there's a lot of blood present, which carries oxygen, the tissue heals quickly. That's what bodybuilding is. That's what working out is. That's how you tone your body. But the closer you get toward a bendable joint, the less oxygen is available for healing. So what's closer to the joint? You have the muscle, then the next thing is the tendon. Have you heard of tendonitis?
Yes.
How long does it take to go away? Especially if you keep working out.
Never.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
It stops you from working out. You get out of shape. You get frustrated.
It'll be a reoccurring injury
Same
over and
thing.
over again. Yeah.
And then the ligament. So the ligament is what holds the bones together. So when you have the whiplash is not the head hitting the back of the headrest. It's when your head whips forward toward the dashboard. All that energy shoots out the top of your head. And those ligaments, which have the consistency of chewing gum that hold the spine in place, they stretch. And now they're too loose, they're laxed, and all of a sudden you're putting pressure on the sensitive discs and nerves in the spine, and you have this pain that shoots down an arm or shoots down your leg. Those take such a long time to heal, if they can ever heal, because there's almost no blood supply to them. And then unfortunately, the joint itself, if it's the lower back, we're talking about a disc. If it's a shoulder, we're talking about the labrum, the hip labrum, and the meniscus and the knee. No direct blood supply to those tissues, no oxygen available to heal. So those injuries are much more severe and require much more advanced treatments.
Absolutely. Another thing that I discuss with my clients when I first meet with them is to basically just kind of survey your entire body. People don't realize that numbness and tingling in your hands or in your feet, or cramping of your calf, or cramping of your hand, loss of sensation, all of that is indicative of a spinal injury, and people just don't pay attention to it. They think it's completely separate, and this is all key information that you should give your doctor. So I tell all my clients, whatever you feel, make sure that you convey it to the doctor. They're the ones that are treating your injuries. So whether you think it's silly or whether you think it's not related, it's not worth it to mention, let the doctor be the one to determine that, because it could be a sign of something that you're just not even realizing is happening.
And the window is small, not just to initiate or begin treatment, but within 48 to 72 hours after the accident, your body is already laying down scar tissue. So think about if that's your knee, think about that if that's your neck, if it's your lower back. Within 72 hours, it's already happening. So it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to go toward passive care, meaning you kind of ignore it, don't do anything about it. If you fast forward to a year, and as soon as a year after scar tissue forms, you've already begun to degenerate. So you've lost tissue size, you've lost tissue strength, and the bones begin to grow. So you've already started to develop arthritis. The opposite is true, where if you initiate and begin treatment, at the end of a year, not only have you avoided arthritic changes, but you've gotten your body to heal properly.
Definitely. It's basically an acceleration of the breakdown of your body. So what would be going on when you're 60, 70 years old, you're opening yourself up for it to be happening much sooner, which is sad. You shouldn't. There shouldn't be anybody, that's of a reasonable age going through dealing with these types of injuries and suffering the consequences of that.
So those are best case scenarios that we're going to have, the ability to help someone recover and get their body to heal itself. Best case scenarios, but oftentimes what we see is these are very involved accidents. There's multiple injuries layered one upon the other. They may have a concussion, they may have a fracture to the arm, they may have a herniated disc. And so it's really appropriate now to get the right diagnostic testing.
Definitely.
If you're going to an office, you have to go to an office that takes x-rays, not the ones that you hold up and look at under a light. You need digital x-rays.
Yes.
So we have that on site here.
That's very important.
We have the ability to do diagnostic testing, but the other thing is you can't see a disc, you can't see a meniscus, you can't see a labrum with an x-ray. You need to get the MRI.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give a shout out to CMI.
Yes.
They're the best MRI center here in Miami. The reason why, they have the best radiologists.
They really do.
If you need treatment, you have to make the right diagnosis. The treatment is dependent upon the diagnosis. So we use them exclusively here at Advanced Physical Medicine and Rehab. Once we get this positive MRI back, which means, by the way, when you read an MRI report, you want to see no, normal. One line, two line, three lines. When you start to get paragraphs that say disc herniation, foraminal stenosis, facet arthrosis, bulging. All of those things are progressive and degenerative in nature.
I'm getting pain just listening to those words.
and the pain that they produce is often limiting, where people can't even work.
Absolutely.
So in addition to the therapies that they do here, like non-surgical spinal decompression and chiropractic, we work with very specific doctors that are amazing in what they do, but they specialize in pain management.
Absolutely.
So there's certain types of treatment, right? Like
Yeah.
you mentioned a rhizotomy.
Yeah.
You familiar with those?
Yes, I am. I'm very familiar. You know, I always say to my clients, you can always tell when a spine injury begins, but you don't know where it's going to end up.
Yes.
Right. So it's one of those injuries. It's not like a broken bone. You have a broken bone, and you know that it's going to heal. They're going to put a plate in it. They're going to
Yes.
put a cast on you. So you know where that's going to progress. It's going to get better.
Yes.
The problem with a spine injury is that you don't know how far it's going to go. You have no idea what type of damage is being done to your discs, to your to the ligaments, to the nerve, and possibly your spinal cord.
Yes.
Our body does so much to protect the spinal cord, and suddenly a car accident, your disc is injured, and it's putting pressure on your spinal cord, which is how your brain communicates with the rest of your body. I can't stress this enough. People
Yes.
think that spine injuries are soft tissue, it's no big deal. Absolutely not. They are absolutely serious injuries, and they have to be treated accordingly. So it's not just go to urgent care, they're going to do x-rays, they're going to say, okay, here's some pain medication, here's a muscle relaxer, follow up with an orthopedic in 7 to 10 days. That's a long time. You know, even if you go a weekend, it's still a long time. So if you walk out of an urgent care and you're still feeling some sort of discomfort, you should seek treatment. You should see a chiropractor. You should come to a place like this.
Yep.
And they will guide you along the way. You know where to send your patients. You know exactly what they need.
Yep.
So you'd be able to dictate that treatment, which is so important because people don't know what they need. They don't know where to go.
I am so glad you mentioned that too, is because the issue that we get into with patients that are in need of joint replacement, they've waited so long, they have a bad knee, a bad shoulder, bad spine, is that they've over-medicated. They've kind of waited, they've lived with it, they've medicated it, and specific types of drugs, right, that are taken for longer than 10 days, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, even cortisone injections, over and above what is recommended, actually do permanent damage to the joint, and they stop your body from healing. They kill stem cells. So the long-term prognosis of just medicating and being, using opioids is definitely not the way to go. Like we mentioned earlier, the pain management doctors that we use are very specific in the cases that they treat. They don't treat too much. They treat exactly what your injury tells them, and they use the MRIs from CMI to make those appropriate determinations. So
Absolutely.
Kind of to recap, so you have injuries that sometimes turn out to be soft tissue that still need treatment. That's why they come here. Sometimes they require pain management. You have to go through the pain management so you can get full function back. But then there's that third category where people have fractures, dislocations, spinal injuries where they have to have surgery.
Sure.
And so we have to make those appropriate treatments as well.
Definitely.
So having a doctor like us, having an attorney like you, someone on the patient side is more of an advocate to make sure they're getting the appropriate treatment is so important.
Absolutely. It is, that's one of the main issues that I see with my clients who have been represented by different law firms or who have treated with other doctors who don't really know what they're doing. Unfortunately, it happens.
Yes.
It happens in every business, in every specialty.
Yes.
You have great people, you have
Yes.
mediocre, and you have
Yes.
ones that really don't know what they're doing. And when you're talking about your health and your spine and we need our bodies. We move around, and you don't realize how much you use a body part until it hurts.
Yeah.
That's when you realize, oh my gosh, it hurts to stand, it hurts to sit, it hurts to this, it hurts to that. So how can you entrust that in someone who isn't qualified?
You know what? I want to circle back to what you said, that if you have a problem with your roof, you're not going to call a tax attorney.
You're not.
But
Exactly.
it's the same thing. There's so many types of physical medicine offices, so many types of chiropractors. You're not going to go to someone that doesn't specialize in this work. We've really dedicated a large part of our practice towards helping these patients recover, because there are complex injuries that require multiple types of treatments. That's why here at Advanced Physical Medicine, we do have the medical doctors, we have the pain management doctors, we have all the diagnostic testing to help get you back to work and doing the things that you love to do.
That's important also because you're not waiting weeks or months for an appointment with someone else, right? And that's
Yes.
something that you may also encounter. You may encounter a doctor's office that doesn't have this type of network that you have in here, and they're waiting 2 or 3 weeks to see a doctor.
Yes.
And it just delays their treatment. They're still in pain. They're still bothered. And on my end, on the legal side, my clients have to treat with someone who knows what they're doing with these types of cases. I'll give you a prime example. You can go to a chiropractor 100 times. And if you don't have something called an emergency medical condition, and if that is not documented properly, then your insurance company will not pay the insurance benefits that you have been paying for every 6 months or every month, depending on how you handle your policy.
Tell me if I'm wrong. They're going to deny 75% of them.
Absolutely. So you are limiting, and imagine this: you've been paying for an insurance every single time your premium is due. You've been paying for years and years and years, and then suddenly, because the doctor's office isn't doing what they're supposed to, or they don't know any better. I don't think anyone does this on purpose. I don't think anyone says, "Oh, I want to limit my patients' benefits." But it's if they don't know what they're doing, it'll limit it by 75%. That's huge. That's a lot of money that you've already paid for. You've essentially been filling the bank accounts for these insurance companies for many years, and one small mistake like that, and it'll limit your benefits.
Yeah, so, it's not something when you sign up for your insurance that they tell you have 14 days to seek medical treatment.
No.
You only get access to 25% of your medical benefits once you've been in this injury. It's all insurance is the same. You have to have it. You got to protect yourself, but it's almost like you're afraid to use it. You get a leak in your roof. You don't want to call your insurance company because you're afraid the rates will go up. But listen, there's more expensive things and more important things that will affect you than an increase in your rates, right? That's
definitely
one of the misconceptions is that people are going to cancel your insurance. They're going to go sky high. They're not going to go high. There's a medium. I think you have some really good insight on that.
Yeah. So a very common question is, well, is this going to raise my insurance rates? How much am I going to be paying the next time my policy is up? And these are all very these are questions that can go so many different ways. We can sit here for days and just talk about scenarios, right? So there's many factors that insurance companies take into your premium and into how much they charge you. Your credit score is one of them, actually. So I have no control over your credit score. If your credit score tanks by 200 points from now till next year, I have no control over that. That may affect your insurance rates. If the car theft number or percentage in your particular area goes up, your insurance rates may go up. So these are things that are out of your control. Also, if you have a bunch of claims back to back to back, the insurance company looks at a risk aspect when it comes to each person, and that's just good business practice. So they may increase your rates. There's no way to guarantee that one way or the other. I've seen it all across the board. I've seen clients with several accidents and nothing ever happens. I've seen others with one accident and it may raise a little bit, and others that they've done absolutely nothing wrong, and there's a bunch of car thefts in the area or a bunch of rims are getting stolen. It's happening in Coral Gables, and their insurance premiums go up. So you cannot not use a medical benefit that you've already been paying for.
You can't focus
with this
on
risk.
You can't focus on the minutia. You're going to worry about protecting the assets of an insurance company versus safeguarding your health.
And it ultimately, if we're dealing with the types of injuries that you and I have been discussing throughout this conversation, it's something you will have to get taken care of at some point. So it's essentially it may come out of pocket. If you do have health insurance, the health insurance may say, well, you were in an accident, so I need your PIP to cover first. Otherwise, we're not paying you a dime. So your benefits are kind of on a standstill until PIP benefits are completely exhausted. So these are things that people don't realize. You're basically taking an otherwise very valuable asset that you've already paid for and just flushing it down the drain, which makes, flushing it down the toilet, not flushing it makes no sense.
It's there for a reason. That should be your least concern, the least of your concerns.
Exactly.
So a couple of key takeaways. Let's recap. Number one, get the right insurance. Make sure you have uninsured motorist.
Yes. And if you have questions, you can always call a lawyer. You can.
But not a lawyer. They got to call you.
You can call me. Exactly.
Yes.
Call a personal injury lawyer. You can call me directly. I'll give everyone my direct number. It rings directly on my cell phone. It's 954-492-5656. And I have clients call me all the time saying, hey, it's time for my renewal. Remember that insurance you talked to me about? What is it? And I walk them through this process, and I basically just walk them through, these are the options, and then you decide whether you need it or not. So speak to a professional. And just remember, every time you go into an insurance agency, they're just there to give you information. They're not going to give you advice to safeguard every single aspect of your life. They want to sell you a policy.
Yep, exactly. Second thing that we spoke about, put a lot of emphasis on, is that when the accident happens, make sure you're safe. Speak to witnesses. Very, very important. Number three, call the attorney, right? Get in touch with you. No matter what you think the case is worth, what it is, you got to make sure you take care of your health, and you do that by contacting your attorney to make sure that the whole process is going to move smoothly.
And we'll streamline everything for you. We make sure an adjuster gets assigned right away. We keep them honest. We don't allow adjusters to stay out of contact with you for a week or 2 or 3. That happens all the time. They just don't answer your calls, or they stop calling you back. So, putting a little bit of pressure from a law firm definitely makes a difference.
Makes a big difference. And then thirdly, and probably most importantly after that, is getting the right type of medical treatment.
Absolutely.
So here at Advanced Physical Medicine and Rehab, In Miami, we've definitely dedicated a large part of our practice to helping people just like you out there who have been involved in these accidents. It doesn't matter if you're in Broward, if you're here in Dade County, we're available to help you, and we will help you.
Absolutely. And I really cannot stress it enough. There's no price on your health.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to go and try to find, you know, if you have an injury, you haven't had a car accident, and you have an injury, you're not going to go out and seek the most mediocre doctor to save your health insurance money, right? You're going to go and you're going to try to get the best care. This is no different. We're talking about your body, your health, your future, your mobility. Your mobility is so important, and you're limiting yourself if you don't try to get the best care. So
like we said in the beginning, either it's happened to you, it's going to happen to someone you love, a friend of yours. When you hear this podcast, tell your friends to listen to it. They can go to iHeartRadio. They can go to Spotify. They can download it from the podcast app on iTunes and Google Play on Google. Check out our website, apmrmiami.com and miamidisccenter.com, and look at our YouTube channel below. Jennifer, they're going to find you at 954-492-5656. They asked for Jennifer Pena.
Yes. With Stanger, Green & Finer. We've been doing this collectively for over 20 years. We have offices all over Florida. We are well equipped to handle every single aspect of your claim, and we're here to help.
So if somebody's in Broward, they're in Dade County, they're in Palm Beach, call you.
Wherever they
They'll
are.
speak directly to you. You're one of the 2% that actually goes to court, fights for the client from beginning to end. I can't wait to hear more about that. Can't wait to have you back on the show.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
We're going to be back with our next episode. I can't wait for this one. An amazing gentleman. His name is Dwayne Clemens. He was the 16th overall pick in the NFL draft. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to be talking about non-surgical spinal decompression, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and his foundation, Fourth and Forever. So make sure you tune in next time. I'm Dr. Joe Gambardella with Advanced Physical Medicine and Rehab. Check us out on Instagram at APMR, and we'll see you next time.